And welcome to a new episode of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. And I'm your host, Brett Dice. If you could please subscribe to this podcast and all your favorite podcasting apps, leave a 5-star review. It really does help with the rankings and let me know how I'm doing. But this week, we're going to be talking about a little bit about Kingmakers, Discord's IPO, since it keeps on, being talked about. We also have a Boltgun 2 a little bit, and we have Claire Obscura Expedition 33. We have Capcom and kind of their digital sales, and a little bit of Discord's orbs, which is interesting in general. The AMD RX 960 XT, and then really mainly about EA and kind of their cancellations, since they love to cancel things. And also just them not understanding gamers, and a little bit about Battlefront 2 and why it's not going to be, Battlefront 3 is not going to be made. I just do not believe that EA cares enough to actually be made, since their focus is going to be more on their core products. But I always could be wrong. So we will see, but let's get on. That's good. All right, so I hope you're having a great Friday and a great weekend as well. But first off, Kingmakers is going to be in early access on PC on October 8th, 2025. So you got a little time to wait, but it's still right around the corner. And this game looks like the most interesting because you're playing in a medieval world, but you have like modern, like weaponry, like machine guns, tanks, that type of thing, motorcycles. You could play with friends. I mean, it looks like a really fun third-person strategy game that no one really has tried or even wanted to make. And so this is why it gets so much attention, because, I mean, as guys, we always thought about that too, like going back and like giving people modern weaponry when they didn't have it, which would be an extremely unfair advantage. If you've seen in the game, it makes you have an extremely unfair advantage, but it is fun to roll tanks through like wooden buildings and see them destroyed. And I mean, it's just going to be, to me, it just looks like a lot of good fun. All right, moving on to Discord. Discord is reportedly working with JP Morgan Chase on an upcoming IPO, as reported by Bloomberg in March 2025. The former CEO, Jason Citron, indicated that the company would probably go public in late 2024, which did not happen. Discord has hundreds of millions of registered users and is significant for developer community management. There are concerns that changes benefiting Wall Street could negatively impact user experience, and a phenomenon referred to as in shiftification. Never heard, that's a made up word. At the 2025 Gaming Developers Conference, Discord CTO Stan Vinishki and SVP Peter Sellis discussed their monetization strategy, emphasizing Discord Nitro as central to their offerings. Discord user base grew significantly during the COVID-19 pandemic because no one could go anywhere and it was the only way to communicate with people. The company attempted to expand its focus beyond gaming, but retreated from that strategy in 2024, leading to layoffs of 170 employees. Discord has invested in making its mobile app more accessible for low-end devices, which has led to increased mobile usage among gamers. Yeah, the old way was a lot better. I still don't like it that much. Discord Nitro, a subscription service offering various features, is a key part of Discord's monetization strategy, differing from other platforms that prioritize advertising. Setlist identified 3 products for Nitro subscription: time spent in Discord, time in voice chat, and the number of friends with Nitro. The company plans to monetize through a carrot and stick approach post IPO, potentially enhancing Nitro offers with limiting features for free users. Yeah, so Here's the issue with always going public is that you always have to make sure that the investor is satisfied, which basically means you're going to be nickel and diming the users that made your product popular. And it has always happened. Facebook was great until it went to its IPO, and then basically your organic reach and just showing it to your friends fell off significantly to pay us money so you can show yourself to your friends or businesses likewise. And this just keeps happening because unfortunately, investors are mostly stupid about a lot of things. They're good about investing in things, but they're stupid about a lot of other things. Like, for example, before the Ryzen chipset went live, I put a whole bunch of money into AMD because I knew that that chip was actually going to be good. As other investors were like, no, AMD is going to be terrible. This is not going to be good. This is not going to move the needle. And they were dead wrong. I was right because I knew what they were doing, and I had faith that this chip was going, the CPU was going to be different from Bulldozer, which was abysmal. It was awful. And I was right. And I didn't know how right I was because Intel had dropped the ball so terribly that basically AMD took a very commanding lead for a while. It's still going back and forth, and AMD is still hurting, at least in the GPU side, but the CPU side is very healthy. My issue with this and doing the carrot stick approach and limiting free users is that it is always going to be an 80-20 thing. You're always going to have 80% people not paying for what the 20% of people are going to pay for. So if you're trying to get more than 20%, you really are going to be hurting yourself. Look at Evernote. Evernote kind of did this, and they kind of started limiting features for free users that were before not limiting, and Discord did a little bit, and people were upset. And if Discord keeps on continuing down this road, they will lose most of their users because users will go, fine, I'll go to Guild, I'll go to to TeamSpeak, I'll do something else, and Discord, bye-bye. Like, gamers have been nickel and dimed with monetization strategies through different games that if you push too hard, we will find another route. We are very savvy in figuring out what other way we can do it. Now, for the, as quote unquote, the normies, yeah, you will stick on there, but eventually when it starts to become too much, even the normies will leave. So they have an issue. I would not advise this. I know it's the easiest way to do it in limiting free users, but it's going to be stupid if you give time limits on how much you can use voice chat. If you're going to even have more restrictions on the file size you're going to be delivering, and they already did this once, and if you're going to be significant limiting video calls, this is not going to go well, and eventually they will be sold. This doesn't sound like a good strategy at all. I get where they're coming from. I get that they're trying to appease investors so they can see like they're making money off of this, but there has to be a point where you're like, we're not going to do this because this could actually potentially hurt, which also leads me to their new in-game or new in-app currency called orbs, which users can earn by watching commercials. Orbs can be used to purchase cosmetics from Discord shops. Initially, orbs will be awarded for completing quests related to Discord advertising, such as watching movie trailers or streaming partnered games. The only available quests in the beta involve watching a commercial for orbs, resulting in you earning 150 orbs. Users can buy Discord Nitro with orbs with a 3-day credit, losing 1,400 orbs. So this is their other carrot of the stick, which is, hey, get the orbs so you can get Nitro, so you can get the full benefit of Discord. And this is where it's heading in 2025 with Discord. Like I said, Discord has got to be very careful about how they do this because companies have done this before where they started heavily limiting the free users and the free users bolt because there are always alternatives to you. You are popular because you were easy to use and it was a great alternative to using in-game chat because then you didn't have to talk to people through in-game chat. However, people can always just go back to in-game chat or they can find an alternative. And there's, like I already stated, TeamSpeak, there's Guild, there's alternatives to it. So Discord, you are not the only one in this little playground of virtual communication and gaming. Be very careful on how you do this, because if you push too hard, people will leave. All right, moving on to Boltgun 2 is a sequel to the game Boltgun, which is basically a boomer shooter in the Warhammer 40k game. Great game, fun game. The principal designer of Bolt 2 is Matt Boone, and in Bolt 2, the character Malum Cedillo will not be limited to the location of Korea and will have a branching campaign across new worlds. There will be new environments and enemies in Boltgun 2, including some that fans have requested. The game aims to maintain a tone described as joyous, grimdark, celebrating Warhammer 40k universe. The sequel is set to launch in 2026. The development team is considering player feedback for game modes, including the potential return for Horde mode. The original Boltgun was connected to events of Warhammer 40k Space Marine, and the team aims to incorporate Easter eggs for fans in the sequel. I think this is great. The original one was fun. It's a fun boomer shooter if you actually like that. If you don't, then yeah. But it was a good take on this, and it's relatively cheaper to make because you're not using the latest tech. So I say relatively because, I mean, it's still going to cost money, but not opposed to like Assassin's Creed Shadows or GTA 6, which supposedly may be costing $1 billion in development costs, which is insane to think about, and should be interesting to see if they actually do break even or are profitable with this game, because the higher the cost it gets and you have to add in marketing, the more money you have to make to recoup that. Anyways, moving on to Expedition 33 has surpassed 3.3 million units, announced by publisher Kepler Interactive and developer Sandfall Interactive. The game was released on April 24th, 2025 for Xbox and PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC via Steam and Xbox Epic Game Store. It's also available on Game Pass. The game sold 500,000 units on its first day and reached 1 million within 3 days and 2 million units in under 2 weeks, with an additional 1.3 million sold since then. And the game features a turn-based combat with real-time mechanics, allowing players to craft unique blends for their characters. The narrative involves a quest to destroy a character known as the Paintress, who annually erases individuals of a certain age. The game is developed using Unreal Engine 5 and includes graphics and soundtrack designed to enhance the gaming experience. It's a great game. It's a little hard, but it's a great game overall. It's fun. It kind of harkens back to the old school way of RPGs with turn-based instead of real-time combat, but there are some mix of real-time combat like blocking and dodging and jumping. So there are some aspects of real-time, but it's not fully real-time and it's not fully turn-based, but it's for the most part turn-based because you can't just swing your sword whenever you feel like it. You do have to wait your quote-unquote your turn, but you can do other things like block, dodge, which can be difficult because you really have to time it very correctly. And the camera angles they don't do a great job of helping you figure that out a lot of times. So all in all, it's an interesting game. It's a hard game in a particular way, but once you figure it out, it's a great game. All right, Capcom has reported that in the most recent fiscal year, over 60% of its digital game sales were on PC. More than 54% of total game sales, including physical, were also attributed to PC. This marked an increase from the previous year, where PC sales accounted for just over 52%, and digital sales about 47% of total sales. In terms of unit sales, PC digital sales rose from 21.6 million units in 2023 to 28.2 million in 2024, while digital sales decreased from 19.7 million to 18.5 million. Capcom has posted its 8th consecutive year of record profits, largely driven by the success of Monster Hunter Wilds. And they will keep on doing it as long as they don't go quote-unquote woke, which basically means like censoring things they shouldn't be censoring and just keeping whatever they're doing to the real aspect of what the game was. They kind of done it with a few games and they're hurting from that. But all in all, if they keep to like their core basics of the game and what people remember from their games, they're going to do very well. There is no doubt about it. But we will see what actually happens. I am optimistic about it, but you just cannot rely on Western developers to help you with your games anymore. For the most part, there's some good ones, but for the most part, no. They're all pretty much leading towards that, and it's a little weird. All right, so moving on to the AMD Ryzen RX 960 XT, or the RDNA 4 GPU benchmark, has been released, showing that it performs slower than the RX 7700 XT, which is based on the RDNA 3 architecture. The RTX 960 XT will be available in two models: the 16 gig version priced at $349 and the 8 gig version priced at $299. So spend the extra $50 and you get double the memory. I never just get rid of the 8 gig one. I mean, seriously, stop it. The GPU utilizes TSMC's 4 nanometer process technology and features a boost clock of up to 3.13 gigahertz, with expectations for custom models to reach 3.2 to 3.3 gigahertz. The total power consumption, or TDP, of the GPU ranges from 150 to 182 watts, depending on the VRAM variant. The RX 960 XT scored 109,315 points in the OpenCL benchmark, which is 31% faster than the RX 7600 XT, but 14% slower than the RX 7700 XT. In Vulkan test, it was 25% faster than the RX 7600 XT, but 12% slower than the RX 77 XT. The testing system includes, they included in that is the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D CPU, 32 gigs RAM, and DDR5 RAM. And AMD has positioned the RX 960 XT as a competitor to the NVIDIA's RTX 5060 Ti, offering a lower price than the competitor's 8 gig variant, which I still don't understand why they're doing 8 gigs. Just get rid of the 8 gig variant and just do 16 gigs. I mean, it just doesn't work anymore. I mean, I don't understand why they keep on doing this. And NVIDIA is probably the worst at it because they keep on being like, but gamers want it. I'm like, yeah, because you price it competitively, but it doesn't work out in the long run. Like, stop doing it. Just do a 16 gig version and let that be it. For AMD, it's a weird thing because they price it $50 difference, and it's like, well, might as well spend the extra $50 for the 16 gig version than the 8 gig version. But I don't know. To me, I would just wait until the next generation cycle, because all of these are just, it's a weird time. Like, none of these are that good. Like, the 5000 series is just a head scratcher for gamers with NVIDIA, because it's just like, you didn't really make it better than the 4000 series for whatever reason. The 4000 series is still better, but you can't get your hands on the 5000 series because they're always sold out every time, because they just can't make them fast enough or ship them everywhere, which, I mean, leads to, we should start manufacturing here, because it does help with that time of getting them to stores. But I mean, then again, how much more is it going to cost us? Because NVIDIA already is expensive as it is. They're great cards for the most part. 4000 series is still better than 5000 series, but I was interested in the 5000 series. And then I kept on seeing that there was going to be low stock. It was going to be hard to find. And then it was like, well, it's kind of sort of better than the 4000 series. And I have the 3000 series. I have the 3090. I was like, I'm just going to wait until the 6000 series or the Super or heavily price drop, because no one's buying them. I don't know what's going to happen, but to be honest with you, it doesn't look good. All right, so EA is in is very weird because they keep on doing the wrong things. And they keep on having the dumbest philosophy on gamers that I've ever seen. First of all, now this was probably a better decision from them, but EA has canceled Black Panther game. We all know about this. Cliffhanger Games is gone, which is funny because Cliffhanger Games was a very racist developer that basically only cared about hiring people of color and not white people because white men bad for whatever reason. And it's usually stupid because it's like, we need a safe space. I'm like, that lady that's been all over from her last thing. It's like, lady, you are more likely to be killed by black men than you are by a white guy. More than likely. It's not even like close. But they are still making Marvel games. So the Iron Man game is still in development. The Black Panther game is not, which it seems like the Black Panther game was almost done, which is funny because it must have been really, really bad for them to be like, nope, we are not publishing this. This is not good. You guys have had enough time to try to fix this, and this is not doing well. Plus, they've already laid off a bunch of people from the Titanfall game that they were supposedly making, and I wasn't in favor of an extraction shooter Titanfall game. I just wanted a Titanfall 3, which is basically just a arcadey, could be a very competitive shooter, which I don't understand why they just don't want a competitive shooter. I don't know why they don't want to go toe-to-toe with Call of Duty and figure out their own way, which is different from Call of Duty, because Titanfall is a great game. Everybody that has played Titanfall wants more Titanfall, but then we got Apex Legends, which wasn't better than Titanfall. I know it's in the Titanfall universe, and maybe some of you actually like it, but it still wasn't better than Titanfall. I'm sorry. Titanfall was the best. And Apex is below that. So you have that. Then we have people are playing Battlefront 2. Fun game. Again, I've been playing a little bit too. Fun game. Great game. Frustrating game at times. Especially when you're on the losing team for several rounds and you're like, I don't want to play this anymore. But fun game, all in all. It's got the look and feel of Star Wars. They really did hit the mark on Battlefront 2. I was never a fan of the star cards or their modes, but they're still fun to play. It's not bad. So we have that issue. And you haven't heard anything from EA about either with the cheating problem that's happening in PC because more players are playing it, or if Battlefront 3 is going to be coming, which I highly likely it's not going to be coming. Here's why. They just don't know what to do with it. And most of the team that created Battlefront and Battlefront 2 are gone. So the only way, and I talked about this last week, the only way to do it was to remaster Battlefront 2 for the modern like consoles and everything, and for the team to understand how to make it. That could work. Plus, there really is not that much destruction in the game. There's some destruction, but it's not very much. And EA just really does not want to make a lot of Star Wars games. They had Star Wars Squadrons, great game. Just did not put a lot of resources into it. Probably could have made it a really bestseller and really great game. Just did not want to do it. Probably could have made a second game of it because it was really well received. Not going to do it. We had Battlefront and Battlefront 2. Great games. Very well optimized, mind you. Probably not going to make the third one. Why? Don't know what to do with it. The release of it was pretty awful because of the monetization strategies that they implemented. But they don't know what to do with it. They don't really want... The main issue is the licensing fees. Even though they're doing Marvel, the CEO, Andrew Wilson, has just not want to do more Star Wars games. I don't really know why exactly, but they just don't want to do it. They do have a few of them. They have the Jedi series, which they're doing the third and final one, and then Zero Company, which is more of a XCOM meets Star Wars type of a thing. They did have other ones in the works. I know they had like a RPG type Star Wars game, open world. Did not do. canceled that one. So to me, EA is really going to be focusing on their cores. The Sims, Battlefield, and Apex really is going to be it. Maybe Mass Effect. Dragon Age is no more, and it's probably not going to be made anymore, unfortunately, because they screwed it up so badly with Dragon Age the Veilguard that they're not even going to try again. It's just kind of like, you guys made your game. It was terrible. Get out. That'd be me. Get out. You're all fired because it was bad. And I played it for free on PlayStation. I still haven't completed it because I don't care enough to complete it. It's just that bad of a game. Which leads me to, again, the creator of Dragon Age setting, a veteran BioWare, discuss EA's approach to handling RPG fans during a conversation with Game Radar. He stated that EA executives believe that RPG fans would buy any game labeled as an RPG without requiring a specific appeal to them. EA bosses referred to dedicated RPG fans as living in the cave. The focus of BioWare shifted towards making games that appeal to a broader audience rather than just traditional RPG fans. The shift resulted in games like Mass Effect 2, 3, Andromeda, Dragon Age 2, and the Inquisition, which had more cinematic and action-oriented focus. He expressed dissatisfaction with the direction of the games, noting that he wanted to maintain traditional RPG mechanics which were not welcomed by EA. He left BioWare in 2016 and subsequently worked at Beamdog, then established his own studio, Summerfall. So, and this is the problem with EA. Your bosses are stupid. This is stupid. This is the same thing with podcasting with a lot of people. They keep on saying podcasting, it's for everybody. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. You don't make a game for everybody. You make a game specifically for the audience. What happens is, if it's really good and you make a game for the audience, it becomes a wide appeal. But you don't do the opposite. This is dumb. Yeah, you got away with Mass Effect 2 and 3. Andromeda, you did not get away with. Dragon Age 2, you didn't get away with either because people hated it. And Inquisition was okay. And I mean that loosely. It was okay, boring. And then Dragon Age Veilguard happened and nobody wanted to play your game because you did not care about RPGs, which Dragon Age originally was that. The original is still the best one. Everybody keeps on saying Dragon Age Origins is the best one. And they are right about that. Dragon Age 2 was interesting from a story perspective. But all in all, since it had so little time to actually be developed, it was redundant. You use the same things. But story-wise, interesting. Inquisition wasn't bad. Wasn't as good as Origins. Was better than Dragon Age 2, but that's not saying a lot. And had an interesting story to tell. Then we hit Dragon Age Veilguard, and they're like, whatever you did in your past ones, we don't care. Which is weird to say, because it was all about like continuing that story and having your saves actually matter. And, well, we're not really going to follow Inquisition with Solus as the main bad guy. We're going to do something different. And then we're going to put in a bunch of woke ideology like gender and pronouns. And everybody was like, yeah, no, we're good. We're not going to buy this. So their approach from the bosses were stupid because you cannot just put things into a game and expect gamers to keep on buying them. Because eventually we're like, okay, we've had enough. Your game is going to fail. We don't want your game to fail. We liked BioWare. We liked BioWare games, but EA is stupid. I'm sorry. Most of these bosses need to be fired. These are terrible decisions. Terrible. The reason why Baldur's Gate 3 did so well, because it respected the fans. The reason why Expedition 33 did well, respects the fans. The reason why was it Tainted Grove, that new one that came out, respects the fans. When you respect your fans, you know exactly what they want. in turn that they will buy your game. When you disrespect your fans, eventually they'll be like, we're done. We don't want this anymore. We're tired of this. So EA, get your act together. Stop thinking that people are just going to buy your game because it has the name recognition. That only works so far. Battlefield is in the same spot now because after 2 terrible releases, I'm talking about Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042. And Battlefield 5 was not as bad of a release as Battlefield 2042. Battlefield 5 release was bad because your stupid bosses again said, opened their mouth and said, if you don't like the game, don't buy it. And we're like, okay, stop being stupid. It's not that hard. All you have to do is make a game that fans want. Maybe try some new directions. I get it. 2042 tried some new things, 128 players in a Battlefield. Not a bad decision, just implemented terribly. But at least you tried something. It was a little lackluster because I felt like the development was rushed because you switched midstream, which, again, why does EA do this every single time? It's like, oh, we got to switch gears. All right, you have half the time you had before to make the game. And it's like, of course it's not going to do well. You barely had a functioning scoreboard. Stop doing this. I mean, Mass Effect is, people are going to be very like twitch-eyed about this, being like, I don't know about Mass Effect, and I'm not even sure about Mass Effect 5 or whatever you're going to be calling it. Because to be honest with you, Dragon Age kind of was the last straw for a lot of gamers in BioWare. It's like, this is awful. Like, I don't want this anymore. So, EA, get your act together and stop this nonsense of like, he'll just buy the game. I know sports fans do this maybe a little too much, but the other gamers, we don't really do this. We're like, okay, what are you offering? What is different from what I've played before? Is there something new or interesting? Is this a good story? Or are you just going to try to like jam down things that I don't agree with and go, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And it's like, okay. From a marketing perspective, never tell your customer, if you don't like something, don't buy it. Because guess what they will do? Not buy it. That's the point. You go, okay, I'm going to take your feedback. Maybe we shouldn't have a faked arm lady in the trailer of Battlefield 5 because that's weird and way too woke and stupid. Like that trailer was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Oh, disabled lady can actually fight in World War II. What the hell is that all about? Like, it was so mind-numbingly dumb that I'm like, who is running this company? Like, who thought this was a good idea? Checkbox, yep, good idea. No, it wasn't. It was a terrible idea. Ugh. Anyways, what do you think about all this? Do you think I'm right or wrong about this? I just think EA's in a terrible spot, and there probably will be more layoffs. So don't be surprised if there's more layoffs. But thank you for listening to Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. Really do appreciate it, and join me next week as I talk about what's going on in the gaming industry. I really do appreciate you guys listening to this. But as always, stay safe and get the game, play the games that you want, or even get the games you want to get, and see you next week. Later.